Okay, let's now pass on to the interview session, first session. I think we have Cirillo Marcolin, chair of Confindustria Moda, who's connected with us online. There he is. Good morning.
Ciao, ciao.
Hello, good morning. Welcome. Yours will be the first interview of the day, so I would like to start by asking if you could please describe Confindustria Moda. It is a young association, although it encompasses historical associations as well. So can you please tell us more? Of course. Thank you for your invitation. It is a way to promote Confindustria Moda. We were born out of the will of companies and associations to come together. If small is good is not valid anymore for enterprises, the same goes for associations. I can say that Confindustria Moda and the Accessory Confederation was founded in 2005 under Montezemolo. We were asked to come together in order to have a stronger critical mass and to represent better the industry before the government. Back then, I was the president of ANFAO, an association for eyewear, and we created the Associazione Moda Persona, which merged all the association which produced accessories that were beautiful and well done. So eyewear, shoes, jewelries, etc. But we weren't culturally ready to take a step back as associations to create a federation. So that federation really didn't take off. But it helped us learning how to work together, and we experienced a very important moment in 2017 with Confindustria Moda, when all accessory industry came together, as well as textile associations. In 2018, we created a communal home because some of the association of Confindustria Moda bought a building in Via Riva Santa, Corso Sempione, and they are now together under one roof because all associations understood that they need to come together, to need as a team, even physically. So now all the employees of these associations are under one roof. What is the turnover of Confindustria Moda nowadays? I'll get there. 2019, our turnover was above 98 billion. We have more 60,000 companies, more than 66% of them export as well, and we represent the second manufacturer of Italy. And in 2019, which was a very important year, we contributed for around $30 billion to the payment. So we were able to create a system. We can reach goals together because we can't go alone in this field, and the pandemic showed that. Some activities are the mission of Confindustria Moda, such as legal, education, and the study office. I think we really took a big step forward. Confindustria acknowledged that, and the president and my colleagues really were happy to take a step back in order to be more represented and more recognizable in Italy and on the international stage. You talked about your ufficio studi. So you are carrying out researches on the sector considering this period we're going through. Do you have data you can share? Of course, this office is really important for us because they can provide us with macro data. We have the data for each association, but also aggregated studies. In 2020, things completely changed compared to 2019. Of course, our turnover took a hit. We lost 29 billion in the first 9 months of the year. This is a research on the effects of the pandemic for the first 3 quarters. So we acquired this data a week ago, and we've seen that the over 3,000 companies that were interviewed had a reduction in turnover of 27%. This was less than the previous quarters, because they used to be 36 and 39 in the first 2 quarters, but it is still negative because the economy had a recovery in the 3rd quarter with an increase of GDP by 16%. In the 3rd quarter, the order fell by 24%, so this was less compared to the previous decrease of orders, but we have to acknowledge that's not a positive result. Then we asked questions on the results of 2020. So the companies said they will probably close at minus 10%, while the national GDP will be reduced by 8%. 29% of the companies believes that the turnover will be reduced by 35%, and even 15% says the decrease will be up 50%. Pardon. Furlough was used by for 30% of the employees in the 3rd quarter of the year. Of course, the vast majority of our association are small and medium enterprises, and in the 3rd quarter, 65% of the companies had to pay forward. So, of course, that was very complicated in terms of liquidity management. Previously, we mentioned smart working. Of course, that was very much used in the first 2 quarters. That decreased in the 3rd quarter, but our companies were forced, but also they were interested in fostering this new way of working. These are the data. To tell you more about the impact of the crisis, let's look at the textile sector and fashion. Of course, textile is at the top and the garments are at the bottom of the chain. Fashion garments suffered more because many shops were closed, while textile could keep up the production, especially for medical. So textile could really change the operation, could start producing masks, and so they had less losses. Then in the following months, this was normalized and textile took a hit as well, because there was a decrease in the external demand and consumption decreased. We asked our companies on the results for 2020 and textile and fashion, and the outlook is a reduction of 33%. So if we then look at macro data, we go back to the previous data. So a significant decrease, so a loss of 29%, so 30 billion less compared to 2019. What are your areas of investment? What are the recipes of Confindustria Moda to recover, of course, vaccines and other measures aside? We need to pay attention to some areas: sustainability, digitalization. We need to take those areas into account. I can say that in Italy, the fashion supply chain has always been very attentive to social and environmental impact. We have to remember that since the whole supply chain is located in Italy, in the interest of the enterprises, and it is in the interests of the enterprises, the creation of virtuous circles. So sustainability as a whole will make a difference, not only for the survival of our enterprises, but also for their strengthening in the upcoming years. Recently, Confindustria Moda and unions sent an appeal to the government. We sent them a document where we underline the hottest issues for our recovery. So professional education made a difference throughout the years and allowed our enterprises to become international leaders. For example, in Iowa, we know that we have really international players. So we asked the government to help us to foster education and to help us investing in circular economy and in 4.0 industry. We also asked for public support to improve the work-life balance, especially for women, which are the majority of our employees in this area. Thank you very much. If I may, just a few closing remarks. Talking about digitalization, as Erika mentioned previously, we acknowledge that our companies cannot prevail alone. They cannot invest personally by themselves to increase the digitalization. The association needs to work on that. The government needs to work on that. We know we will have to invest, and we will have to prompt companies to invest in digitalization. We've seen that in smart working. We've seen that with the development of e-commerce. So this pandemic reduced the circulation of people. So in our companies, people can go to the buyer. We really had to work to organize fairs, but we've seen that having buyers in Italy was complicated because of travel restrictions. So digitalization truly represents a good response. The supply chains will have to be managed differently, will have to be restructured. Our associations own fairs, such as MICAM, MIPEL, MIDO, Milano Unica, and other fairs and exhibitions. We could not organize them in September. As we mentioned previously, touch and feel is still very important in our line of work for purchases. So we hope we will be able to organize these exhibitions in the second half of 2021, but we will have to go digital and create digital showrooms so that the companies can really reach out to buyers, present their collections effectively. There is a lot to do, but as we mentioned, I'm confident our companies will be able to meet the challenge and promote Made in Italy, which is very much appreciated in Italy and abroad. Thank you very much, Cirillo.